Hello everyone, my name is Carl. Welcome to my workshop and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this film we are going to be fitting the intermediate shaft into the gearbox of the milling machine, and Harry gets a bit more turning practice in. So let's get on with the video. Okay, so we are back in the workshop. It's now after Christmas. It's the 30th of December today, and we're going to be looking at the intermediate shaft for the Harrison mill gearbox. And I made a mistake about a year or so ago now, when I did some work on this to assist us getting it into the gearbox, and we'll talk about that in a second. But before we do, I want to show you a few interesting things about this shaft. Do you want to come in a bit closer, Harry?
Yep.
The first thing I want to show them, let's just make sure everything's in focus. If you look at these gears, can you see it says L6 on there? Look, an L6 21, and on these ones, this cluster, L6 21, L6 21. That is because Harrison also made the L6 lathe, and they use the same gears in the lathe as they did in the milling machine, and that's why it says L6. So basically they did that to save parts. Now the next thing I want you to look at is in kind of similar to the way the intermediate shaft, or the driven shaft was rather, we have two center punch marks in that spline there. Look, in the female spline, or in the trough of the spline. That is to show us the balance point of the shaft, so that we can put these gears together correctly. So again, looking at the hub of the gear cluster, you can see there's two center pot marks there, look. So we know that that spline there engages with that one there. So we can put this together correctly so that it's properly balanced. So that goes on like that. And then on this one, look, I think there's another mark on it somewhere. Yeah, I can't, yeah, there it is. I can see it, but you can't see it. So that goes on like that. Right, once that's on, the next thing that goes on is this little collar or spacer, and then the bearing goes on there and the bearing on the other end. And what I want to show you as well, if I take it apart again, I've kind of done this out of sequence, haven't I, Harry?
Yeah.
So the way these gears are fixed together is they're scotch keyed by drilling through, this is actually a ring gear that's then fitted onto this hub. They drill through the ring gear and through the hub, tap it, and then put in some grub screws to scotch key it together. So that's the same with that one, and also with this one as well. Look, that's how they're fixed together. Now the reason why I made a mistake is because I drilled a hole in this end and tapped it to 3/8 UNC, which is the same as we did for our special tool that we made with a hydraulic jack. But there's a pinion here that's actually machined into the shaft, and I'll show you why this is an issue now. We'll go over to the milling machine. So if you want to stop filming there, Harry, we'll go over to the mill. Right, so the bore on this side where the shaft enters is currently covered up by some masking tape, so I'll take that off, and then I'll be able to slide the shaft in and you'll see what the problem is. So obviously, because of this pinion here, the gears have to go on from this side. So if I put the shaft through, I'm going to have to slide the gears on this way, which means that we're going to have to fit, just put that gear down for a second, we're going to have to fit the bearing onto this journal first, and because the bearing is a transition fit in the bore, we put the shaft in this way, we slide the bearing into the bore, and we start putting the gears on. So what we need is the hole to be in this end with the thread in it, so we can then pull the shaft into the bearing inner diameter at this end from this side using our modified hydraulic tool. So what we're going to do now is set the shaft up in the lathe for us to bore a hole in this end, and then we're going to tap it to 3/8 UNC. So Harry's helping to fit the fix steady.
Yeah.
Yeah, tightening up the bolt now. That's it, good lad. Give it a good nip up. Make sure your socket's on there properly. That's it.
Well, that's not going anywhere.
It's not, is it? Right, let me have a look. I'll just give it a quick check. Yeah, that's good. Well done.
Good.
Right, then I'll show you how to set this up now. So we've got, well, let's show the people. We've got the tailstock in. We've already clocked this, and we've had to adjust it slightly in the collet to get it pretty bang on. It's about half a thou eccentricity now, which is good. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we've got the tailstock in. We're now going to bring the fingers of the fixed steady in and lock them in place.
Like this.
That's right. So like I said to you, just nip these up. You don't have to grolly them, you just have to nip them.
Okay.
Yeah, you have the ratchet. Just so they can't come undone.
Okay.
That'll do, yeah. Very good. Nice job. Right, we're now ready to put the drill chuck in the end of the tailstock and drill a hole in there. So we're back in the workshop, and what's been a few seconds for you, or even less than a second, by the miracle of technology, for us it's been a day. So it's now New Year's Eve, isn't it, Harry?
Yep.
So can you explain what we've got set up here? Because I think they saw a bit of this yesterday. They saw you tightening up the securing bolts, but I don't think we explained to them what we've done.
No, so this is the fixed steady, and we were holding this steady so it doesn't wobble when it spins using this piece here in the tailstock.
That's right, yeah, that's the live
The
centre.
live centre, yes, but to drill the hole we need to drill, we need to use the tailstock, and we can't use the live centre, so we've put the fixed steady in.
That's right.
To keep it steady.
Exactly.
As its name suggests.
Precisely that, yeah, that's right. So what we're going to do now is take that not fixed steady, I'm talking nonsense. Take that live centre out of the tailstock, and then we're going to put the drill chuck in, and then we'll stop filming and we'll show them what thread we're going to put in there, what drill we're going to use, and where we got that information from. So do you want to take that revolving centre out of the tailstock now?
Yep,
so get a good hold of it, that's it. Wind in the tailstock.
I was going the wrong way there.
That's it. Yeah, it's okay. You've got it now. That's right. That's out. Yeah, okay. So we'll put that away now, and we'll get the drill chuck. I'll stop the drill chuck now. He's made sure the inside of the tailstock quill is clean, and he's going to fit the chuck.
Whoa.
So if you rotate it a little bit like that, it's because the ejection tang's in the way.
Oh, I see.
All right, just wind up the tailstock a little bit more. That's it. And then try again. Let's have a look. There we are.
There we go.
Right, push it now. That's good.
Perfect.
That's in. So what was happening there was, there's a little piece on the end of the taper, the Morse taper, called the ejection tang, and that was just getting stuck. So now that's in and it's home. So that's good. So what we'll do now is we'll show them what drill we're going to use. Here, Hazza. So we've got the drill bit now.
We do, yeah.
Which is an 8mm drill bit.
Yep.
So we're going to show them. There's the piece that we made last time that we used with the hydraulic jack. So that's got a what thread on the end of that? Can you remember?
Is it 6?
3/8.
Yeah, 3/8 UNC.
3/8 UNC. Yeah, which is 16 threads per inch.
Yep.
So where we get that information from for what drill to use
This little bit.
is that little book. Yeah. Now there's lots of books like that,
Oh, right.
and there's an awful lot of information on the internet as well that tells you what size drill to use.
Yeah.
So let's show them in the book. There it is. Look.
There.
Yeah. If you go down there until you see 3/8 16, and you go to where it says tapping drill size millimeters.
8mm. So
Yeah,
then,
and it shows you the thread form there. Look, that's
Yep.
what the thread looks like under a microscope.
yeah. So
Yep.
then you know what tap to use and you know what drill bit.
That's exactly right, yeah.
The 8mm drill bit.
Precisely that. So we'll get that in the chuck and we'll
Harry's
drill
putting
some rocal on the end of the drill bit now. We've got the 8mm drill bit in the drill chuck, which is in the tailstock. Harry's put it in the tailstock. That's it, that's good. Perfect stuff. Right, we've set the lathe to run.
Do this.
Maximum speed 550, but we're going to run at about 300 RPM, aren't
Yeah.
we?
So should I get it started?
Yeah, so, well, that's the tap falling out. Let's just show them what gear we're in here. So you can see we're in, on this at Harrison M250, we're in C1, which is 550 maximum,
Yep.
because we've got the VFD on it, so we can change the speed.
Right.
Right, off we go, Harry. Start her up. Right, so that's running at about 317, that's fine.
317.
Okay, right,
Let's do this.
let's do this. I'll get in a position so that people can see. That's it. You can go in a bit deeper than that before you peck it out again.
Okay.
That's it. Take her in again. That's going well. Yeah. We'll put a little bit more roll call on there. Keep going, just take it nice and steady.
Okay.
Lovely. Right, you're almost at your second mark because we put marks on the tailstock for you, didn't we? So
We did.
it makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
We're going into a depth of approximately 13 millimeters. So that's it, peck it out again. And in again, let's put some more roll call on there. In she goes again. You're doing really well, buddy. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Right, there you go, you're at your second mark. So take it all the way out now until the drill's here. Okay, you can stop there. Now you can stop the machine. Excellent job. Oh, yeah, that's all right, but it's stopped now, isn't it? Right, so what we'll do now is we'll get set up for the tapping operation, okay? So Harry's just cleaning the swarf off the drill.
Yep.
We've now got approximately 15 mil depth hole in the part, in the shaft. We've just got to be careful because there's a bit of swarf gone onto the journal of the shaft, which might get stuck in the fixed steady, mightn't it, Harry, in the arms of the fixed steady. So we'll wipe that off once you've finished doing that with the drill. I think that'll be all right now. So you can put that drill away, and then before we go any further, we'll just wipe that swarf away from the arms of the fixed steady, the pads rather. The next thing we're going to do is to chamfer that hole so that the tap gets a good start. That's it. That engine crane's right in the way, isn't it?
It is,
Unfortunately, it's essential. So get yourself a bit of Kim wipe,
So we're shampooing.
and there it is. Look, and clean that, clean the swarf away from that the pads there on the fixed steady. That's it. Just on here, look. See where there's a little bit of swarf on it. If that gets jammed in between the shaft that's in the lathe and the pads of the steady, it'll throw it out off center. It'll be eccentric, and it'll also do a lot of damage. So make sure that's all clean. That's good. Yeah, nice one. Harry's now doing the chamfering operation. That's it.
I am, yes.
Yeah, nice one. Nice going, mate. You're doing a great job. Harry's just cleaning out the hole now.
Yep.
That should be good. Okay, that's fine. A few more days down the line now, I have put off camera the 3/8 UNC thread in the end of the shaft. And as you'll remember, I said that I did make a mistake. It was back in Harrison Mill Resto 17. If you go back to that, you'll see I put a thread in the opposite end, in this end, in error, as it turns out. It doesn't matter though, because what I think we can do is use the thread in this end to pull the bearing onto this end of the shaft before we go to install it, install the shaft rather. And that should save us from having to tap the bearing on. So we'll get everything set up. We'll get this lot stripped down first, this setup with the fixed steady, and then we'll get over to the bench with the hydraulic jack, and we'll have a go at getting the bearing on that end. Right, so here's where we're at now. I've got the hydraulic jack in the vise, just lightly gripped. I've got the mandrels threaded in with a big M20 thread, M20 by 1.5, that's threaded in there. So put the washer, spacing washer on, the spacing collar, which is actually meant to be used with the cutters that this is supposed to drive, but this is exactly the right diameter, as luck would have it, to actually press on the inner race of the bearing. So we'll put that on there. We'll then thread the 3/8 UNC on the end of the mandrel into the thread that we put into the shaft, and that's fully down. So what will now happen is the jack will pull the shaft into the bearing. So I'm going to start pumping, and we should see some, there we go. I'll bring you in a bit closer so you can see that going in. So as I think you can see, that is working like a charm. Very nice indeed. Right, I think, there we are, we're fully home. That's good. That's it gone solid. Right, we'll release the hydraulic pressure, the spring takes it back. Right, that is that. I'm now going to install this Koyo RLS6 bearing into the gearbox in preparation for us fitting the intermediate shaft. And as you'll remember, the method that we're using to fit these shafts is really taking advantage of the fact that the way the bearings are put together is that, and the way all bearings should be put together, is that the OD, or the outer race, is the transition fit, and the ID, or the inner race, is the interference fit. So we're using these bushes, which are actually from the Vivo hole saw kit, or not hole saw kit, but hole punch kit, hydraulic hole punch kit. And considering they are backup bushes for hole punches, they're actually the best set of bearing installation bushes I've ever had. But without further ado, we'll get on with this now. I have a piece of threaded rod passing through here with the Tommy bar there on the 19mm socket on this side. On the side that you're looking at, you're in the gearbox and you've got the grandstand view. So I have my favourite 19mm ratchet ring spanner that I've had since I was about 17 years old, and let's get on with it. I'm going to now start tightening up the socket, and as you can see, or tightening up the ratchet ring spanner, tightening the, and it's pulling it in, tightening the threaded rod, in it goes, look. Now that should bottom out pretty soon, which it has done there. That's good. So we'll slacken that off now. Slacken that threaded rod off now. That bearing is now flush with the bore in the gearbox. It will sit slightly recessed by about 1/4 of an inch. Once we get the shaft in and everything set where it needs to be, it'll more or less find its own position. So we'll next get the shaft in there and start getting the gears threaded onto the shaft. Right, you zoomed in a bit now, about 2.5 times, so hopefully you can see what's going on. I'm now going to fit the first cluster, which is a 46 and a 56 tooth gear, ensuring of course that the balancing marks are lined up between the actual female spline and the male spline on the shaft. So this is going to be a bit of a balancing act, so to speak. Just try and get this on, because it is going to be quite cramped in here, and I hope, can't see, but I hope that I'm not obscuring your view with my huge noggin. Let's see if we can get this on in the correct splines, which it appears to be putting up a bit of a fight, but it's gonna, oh, there we go. Right, is that right? Yes, it is. So that goes on hard up to the pinion. Oh, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because I've now got to try and get the other cluster in there. Right, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and get the other cluster in, and in here, and slide the shaft through it, I think. We then have to fit a spacing collar onto the journal before it enters the bearing. So I'll bring you back, I'll get that other one in there, that other cluster in there, and I'll bring you back. So I tried in vain to try to film my fitting of the intermediate shaft into the gearbox. It was pretty tricky, but I managed to do it by, essentially, I held the spacer that you can just about see there, look, with a pair of long forceps, and I managed to get it all in the right position, ready to be, for the shaft to be pulled into the bearing at this end. So you can see the shaft there protruding from the spacer. So that's how much we've got to pull it in, it's about 1/4 of an inch. So without further ado, I'm going to start pulling this in now, and you're going to get, well, the best seat in the house. So I've got the intermediate shaft in now. I'll bring you in a minute and show you exactly what's gone on and give you a close-up view of it. I had to just crack on with it off camera. I used the same method as I did for the driven shaft, using the hydraulic jack and the little mandrel tool that we made. Tomorrow, my brother and I, Dean from Retro Mechanica, and if you haven't seen his channel and you haven't watched it, I don't know where you've been. If you like your engineering on the motorcycle side, check him out. Anyway, tomorrow Dean and I are going to be heading down to our uncle's place, and we're going to finish off sorting out his affairs. So I'm going to be away for about a week, and hence I had to just crack on and get things done. So without further ado, I'll take you in now, and I'll show you what we've actually done. So there's the intermediate shaft fitted and in position as it should be. You can just about see the spacer there. There's the bearing at the rear end, fully pulled in using the hydraulic jack, as I mentioned. And I'll bring you around the front now and show you what. So at the front, I've got the two bearing locating bushes fitted, and they're scotch keyed in, as you can see there, by these 1/4 UNC grub screws. So they're both in now, and they actually locate the shafts linearly, I should say, in position in the gearbox, so that the gears mesh correctly as they should. That's what they that's the function that they perform, as well as obviously plugging the hole where the bearing is. And I haven't changed the O-rings on those plugs. I'm cheerfully going to reuse them because there was nothing wrong with them. So that's the end of the film, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's the intermediate shaft in now. All we've got to do is to fit the bearing support bush, or the bearing locating bush, at the rear end where the pulley on the driven shaft goes. And we'll be doing that next time. As I said, my brother Dean and I from Retro Mechanica, we're going to be heading down to our uncle's place and sorting out his affairs and making sure everything's tied up as it needs to be, in accordance with his wishes. So I'll see you next time on the next time we come together in the workshop. I shall look forward to you peering over my shoulder and seeing what I'm doing with the milling machine. Thank you very much for watching, as I said before, and thank you very much for subscribing. If you aren't subscribed to my channel and you like what I'm doing here, please do consider joining the gang. And, you know, give me a like as well. That always helps the algorithm, whatever that is. And I'll see you on the next film. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.